University, and I'm very happy to be here with Dr. Rusnak and all of the people in her department. So thank you, and to especially Svetlana Araz, who also is working with me. So I've enjoyed my time here. I've worked with the foreign language department with the translators. So Olga Kaskari has welcomed me, and I've enjoyed my interaction with her students. So I'm from Eastern, and we have a little building that looks like a castle. Not all the buildings look like that, but we love our little castle. So we would like to extend congratulations to ULIM for these wonderful 25 years, and know that the next 25 years are going to be even better. So I'm going to kind of rush through here a little bit. Building resilience for a global society. Wow, that's going to take a while. But education is certainly one of the keys. And what we need is to have education funneled through knowledge into skills and finally application. So, knowledge in isolation is not worth anything. It has to have something propelling it to do what it's intended to do. So I'm going to rush here. All good ideas, but today I only want to focus on one suggestion for how to transfer knowledge into skills and then into application. And that is through something called resilience. Now, let me point out to you that the Republic of Moldova has demonstrated resilience. You know, in the U.S., I would say, can everybody say amen? Do you know what that means? Yes, that's true. ULIM has demonstrated, what is the word? Resilience, thank you. And I want to say that every person sitting in this room has demonstrated resilience. You're still here. Look at this. You're hanging in there. Thank you. So, what we can do is identify the quality that is resilience. We can make a decision to be resilient, to exemplify to our students, to our children, to our community what resilience is, and then to make that a part, a priority of our teaching. How can that fit into our teaching? So, resilience. I want to make sure that you understand what it is. To recover, to adjust, to come back, to fall down and stand back up. Fall down and stand back up. You know, I fell down this last week. I would show you my wounds, but you don't really care. It really hurt though. But you know, I was going to get on the 22. I couldn't just lay there. I had to get to ULIM. So, you know, I looked around, nobody saw me, I didn't think, and so I got up and took a deep breath and dusted myself off, and thank goodness nothing was broken. You know, when we fall down, we can't just lay there. We've got to get up. That's resilience. To survive, and not only survive, but to thrive. So, I want you to think about when you were little and you were in school. Think about the other students. Some of them were really smart, maybe smarter than you. Some of them had parents who had a lot of money. Some of them were beautiful. Some of them made everybody laugh. But you know what? They are not the ones who succeeded, necessarily. You can think of somebody who had every opportunity and they just wasted it. They were not able to get up, to keep going, to bounce back. So it's the resilient who win the day, not the people with the most opportunities. These are not my ideas, so let me just tell you, this is a professional academic conference, so I want to tell you who it is that this research was conducted with. So it was people who were in chronic poverty, discrimination, children who had mentally ill parents, children of divorced marriages, and children who were refugees who had been uprooted by wars. Some pretty tough circumstances. So the researcher, there were many researchers, but the most well-known is Amy Werner. And so she's researched resilience all of her professional life. And so you see these children, which ones are resilient? Okay, what is it about them that makes them resilient? What are their qualities? So there are only 43. No, just kidding, there are 4. Gotcha. Okay, there are only 4, and I call them decisions because we can make decisions. I think in your life you have made decisions to be resilient. You may not have called it that, but you did. You did do that, or you wouldn't be at this level of the life of this university, this government, and this community. So, an active approach to solving life's problems, perceiving things constructively, gaining the positive attention from other people, and finally, seeing faith as an indication of a positive future. Okay, excuse me, could I have the lights on, please? Turn the lights on. Both of them. Both of them. I worked on these pictures for a really long time, and I want you to see them, and you can't see them if the lights are on. So the first person, who is this? Mother Teresa. So an active approach to solving life's problems. So God doesn't require us to succeed, He only expects us to try. That's what she says. So what can I do? Refusing to let what I cannot do rob me of what I can do. And, you know, it doesn't take much to make a difference. Have you ever noticed that? It doesn't take much to make a difference. Every day, somebody helps me. Somebody looks at me and tries to understand. Chi costa, vlade vedere, whatever little scrap of Romanian I have. You know, and then they try to understand my English. At the post office, a lady helped me to see, in this sea of windows and people, where do I go to get my package? Yeah, she helped me. You know, that meant really a lot to me. It doesn't take much to help solve somebody's problem. It really doesn't take much if we stop and pay attention. And that's Mother Teresa's message. So stay where you are, find your own Calcutta, find the sick and suffering and the lonely right where you are. On the way here today, a lady that I have passed probably 40 times and never given her any money on the street. Maybe she's not really pregnant, I don't know. I don't care. I just gave her, it's a tiny, tiny, tiny bit, what I gave her. But she's the one in front of me. You know, I don't see anybody from Calcutta. That lady was the one in front of me. Oh, you know, she's going to go buy drugs. I don't know. It's her responsibility what she does with it. I thought she needed some help. And so that's what I did. So we can do a little bit, for sure. The second one is a tendency to perceive their experiences constructively. So President Nelson Mandela, he had an attitude of hopefulness, an attitude of a learner, and an optimism and a perseverance. I don't know how much you know about Nelson Mandela, but during the years that he was imprisoned on Robben Island, they had a university. They had a university. Have you read this? Do you know this? So they worked in a rock quarry, and they had to pound up these stones, and they had to put them someplace else, and so they had these bags that they were mixing with the stone that had cement in them. So they would tear up those bags and get the paper, and the older political prisoners would educate the younger political prisoners. They would go back in the rocks where it was the latrine, it stunk, it was the bathroom, but it was out of sight of the cars. How much do you want an education? How willing are you to see that this experience can have a positive aspect? It would be really hard for me to find a positive aspect of being imprisoned for 27 years. But you know he did. He was discriminated against from the very beginning. His mother was the second wife, so he was shunned. He was from a royal Xhosa family in Africa, but he was not the chosen royal line. And then when he got his law degree, he tried to defend himself in court, but the rule of law was not the higher rule of law, it was the rule of the government. And so he was imprisoned for treason for 27 years. He did get the attention of the world, though. And so finally, the world began to cry for his release. But you know, if I'm somewhere and I'm crying for release, I want to tell you guys, do it before 27 years. Don't let 27 years pass. Seriously. I mean, couldn't people have been a little more? So during that 27 years, he missed all of the childhoods of his children. In Xhosa culture, you are bound to bury your parents. He missed all of the tradition that was required of him as the oldest son of his mother. His spouse, his career, his family, his friends. But what he said, and this picture is when, as president, he returned to Robben Island, to his cell, and this is a reflective photograph. To be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedoms of others. The end of the story turns out well. It just really took a long time. And then the third point is the ability to gain other people's positive attention. Do you recognize this young woman? She's world famous. Malala Yousafzai. I hope I said it right. I probably didn't. Look at her. If you go on the internet and look for photos of Malala, they're all smiling. I'm telling you, this girl, except for the one in the hospital, she has a smile and a joy. She's approachable. She's winsome, pleasant, warm, and she has humor, and she is focused on the person in front of her. She was an activist. She is an activist for girls' education. At 14 years of age, as you probably all know, but let me make sure, while she was coming home from school, a Taliban fighter got on her school bus and shot her in the head. She wasn't expected to survive. Finally, she was moved to a hospital in Britain, and she did, in fact, survive. And so now what we know is that she is the youngest recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, in fact, I'm very proud to be the first Pashtun, the first Pakistani, and the youngest person to receive this award. Along with that, I'm pretty certain that I'm also the first recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize who still fights with her younger brothers. I want there to be peace everywhere, but my brothers and I are still working on that.
So, I don't know if you got that. She's saying she still fights with her younger brothers and sisters, even though she's getting the Nobel Peace Prize. Get it? So, she has resilience, and enough apparently to spread all over the world. So the last one is about faith, and the person that came to my mind who has the ability to access faith is Desmond Tutu, Archbishop Desmond Tutu. So I've spent a lot of time in South Africa, so you can tell that I am very interested in their history and their heroes and their government. And after apartheid ended, there was a lot of anger against this white regime who had systematically murdered, betrayed, victimized, terrorized people all over South Africa. And, you know, Africa has had a lot of bloodshed. So why didn't South Africa erupt into bloodshed? Well, there are a lot of people who think that it's because of this man and Nelson Mandela as well, that they put forth the idea of forgiveness. But in order to have forgiveness, you have to have accountability as well. And so the TRC, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, is something that Archbishop Tutu administered. And it was a terrible experience. Day after day, traveling from city to city to sit and listen to mothers and grandmothers talk about how somebody came in and took their husband, their son, their child, and they don't know what happened to them. They don't know where they are. So it was a difficult thing. And to have people who did these acts to come in and admit it and say they were sorry and ask for forgiveness. There were a lot more people who told terrible stories than people who came in and asked for forgiveness. But the TRC made the opportunity available. So that avoided a compressed explosion of anger and resentment over everything that had been done. You know, being resilient is not pain-free. It's really not. But what is the alternative? We want to live rich lives. We want to survive. We want our children and our grandchildren to have a good society. And so Archbishop Tutu preaches a message of hope. You can look on the other side of these difficult circumstances. So some say, look at Moldova, it's the poorest country in Europe. And I say, Moldova is per capita, per person, the mightiest country in Europe. I've made several trips to Moldova. I know a thing or two about Moldovans. I've met many heroes. And the problems are smaller in a small country, and each advancement goes further, and each contribution is more effective. What you do matters. what ULIM has done has made a difference. I want to thank Rector Andre Galvin for his pioneer leadership as an international educator. I want to thank Vice Rector Elena Prus for inviting me here today. That was very kind of her. And we want to extend our national gratitude to ULIM for their years of contributions, educating students and sending them out into the world. Thank you for your attention.